Okay, welcome to day 7 of my Nano Lagoon. I've got some changes, done some new things, and I'll go through them one at a time. First off, I rearranged my rock. I was thinking about how I want to set up my corals, how much rock and whatnot, and I realized I had too much and not a good setup for the corals I want. So I just rearranged the rock. Also, you'll notice that I've got diatoms growing on the live rock I bought from the store. I do have a few specks of diatoms growing on the DIY rock, but on the DIY rock what seems to have happened is all the dust from the substrate moving around has settled on the DIY rock and turned it white. I could get in there and actually wipe it off. It comes off pretty easily, but that's a lot of wiping, and I figure as the diatoms develop and grow and the coralline algae spreads, it'll just use that substrate dust to grow. So I can't really be bothered. I'm just going to give it time and see if it clears itself up. I've changed the 1/2 inch PVC overflow to a full inch PVC overflow, and that has helped out immensely. It can keep up with the pump in my sump, the Rio 600. And it has an amazing surface skimming ability. I'll give you a look from the back. So there it is. It's got a adjuster. It's not even at full blast. I could actually put some higher gallon per hour pumps on there and it'll still keep up. I changed the return from my sump. It's still 1/2 inch, which is fine because it gives a nice punch out of the tube, and it keeps the current flowing steady and fairly decent, which the corals will like because they need to have everything blowing around to keep them free of particles that are harmful and blow the food into their tentacles or whatever they are. So that's the top part. Other than that, nothing big, but those are some pretty major changes in the health of the tank. In the sump, this is where a lot of the good magic has happened. I've built a little platform to hold a 5-gallon Rubbermaid refugium bin I made. It connects to the pump in the sump. So this pump connects to a T. The majority of the water goes up into the display out of there, and a bit of the water, just a light trickle, goes up into this piece from the old PVC overflow. It has the shut-off valve, so I can adjust the flow to make sure it's just a light trickle. And in there will be my macroalgae, my Cheeto, and copepods, and all sorts of good bacteria, and invertebrates and whatnot can live and thrive and in a nice slow current, and then eventually get swept through that homemade bulkhead down into the sump, over here to the pump, up to the tank, and then get eaten by the corals or fish or whatever I got going on there. Yeah, so that was pretty good. It was inexpensive. The 1/2 inch I already had, so I don't know, all those little pieces, probably that's about $10 worth of PVC piping. And the Rubbermaid bin, 5-gallon, was $3.50, and the bulkhead pieces were probably total of $2, so fairly inexpensive. And it adds another 3 gallons of water volume, well, because it's not full, to my system, which helps. Over here I added a new power bar. These were Home Depot, $12, pretty cheap. It also has a timer. The plugs on the left can all be adjusted to a timer, but I found it kind of annoying and really difficult to work with. So what I did is I connected my lights to their own timers underneath. So the refugium, the sump lights are on 12 hours at night, displays 12 hours during the day, and that's that. The sump's coming along pretty nicely. I'm going to get the skimmer in there in a couple weeks, the little nano skimmer. I got the live rock there, or the rock starting to become live, so it's coming along well. I've got some supplements here: Reef Success, Red Sea, some Kent. Those were on sale at a fish store, so I figured I'd pick them up. Didn't really know what I was doing. After watching Limpet's Reef, I realized the best way to get my supplements will either be DIY through his recipes, or there's a guy online, I can't remember what magazine he writes for, but his name's Randy. He's got some amazing data and information on some DIY supplements. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to order from bulkreefsupply.com, because they ship to Canada and they've got a really good two-part system, and you know, everything's laid out very simply for you. So that's where I'm going to go for my supplements once these run out. You know, they do the trick, but they're just not easy to work with. I found for raising the alkalinity, I just had to use plain old baking soda. That worked well. In the Reef Success kit, there's a calcium solution that works well. The Kent and the Calc, it's called, or I don't know how to pronounce it, C-A-L-K, from Reef Success. They're good for daily maintenance of your levels of calcium alkalinity, but they're not so good at your initial raising. So I'm going to have to get some real supplements. To test my water, I use this thing. It is the Nutrifin Hagen Master Test Kit. It was on half price. Some reviews online say it's crap. I don't mind it. It seems to do the trick. I've put it against a couple other tests. I've read reviews. They all seem pretty similar. Where this one falls short is basically the readouts, the color readouts from your tests. Kind of hard to read on some of them. Not a big deal for me. I can see how it can be annoying and frustrating to some people to get the proper levels, but I haven't had a problem so far. Eventually what I'll do is I will buy the more expensive test kits, I don't know what they're called, Sally Fort or Sally Furt, as I replace these. So most likely the calcium's going to go first, and then I'll get the more expensive calcium tests, and eventually this kit will just be phased out. But for now it does the trick. On that note, on the computer I have kept an Excel spreadsheet of my aquarium tests, you know, their levels, their days, what I've done to either fix the problem or maintain the levels I want them at. So this is a catalog, and eventually will help me keep, oh, there goes the screensaver. Eventually it'll help me keep my levels proper. And also, you can also add a few other tabs for stuff. I had one for expenses, so I know how much I've actually spent on this dang thing. It adds up quick. Profit, if I ever sell frags or trade frags, that'll go there. Livestock, maintenance, you can do all sorts of stuff with Excel. And it kind of adds an extra bonus and keeping care to your system. So that's pretty much where I'm at this week. Oh, one other thing. I found this little, it's a garden LED light from Walmart. It's pretty interesting. What happens is I leave it to charge. I didn't charge it today, and it fell in the water, so I don't even know if it works anymore. If it doesn't, I'll just return it and say it's broken. What it does is I stick it up there in the hood when the lights are off, and it creates a little moonlight, and that will be really nice and really cool when I get my corals, because they're pretty active during the night. It'll make it easier to feed them at night. I'll see what I'm target feeding and whatnot. So yeah, $3.50 from Walmart. You just take the shaft off that sticks into the ground. You do a little screws here and there, and you got this little LED moonlight. And eventually I'll try and work it into my hood permanently in a good way. I just haven't had the time to find the space in it and do it right. But yeah, that's cool. It's a good idea. I read it on a forum. And if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, please feel free to leave them. And thanks for watching.